What's good, people? Welcome back to the channel. Big ups to every single one of you for being here. Make sure you do me a favor, hit the like button and hit subscribe. If you haven't checked out last night's show, myself, Lee, and AD, make sure you do that one. It was quite good reaction from Man United, Spurs, and also talking about Arsenal. But we're going to do it even again today because I've got a different panel. Lee Judges is with me, but I've also got Henry back and I've got Dan. And trust me, Flawless is ready. No Martin this week. He's away on holiday, living it up in sunny Blackpool. But he'll be back next week. Big up, lads. Good to see you all. Look, I've got to go straight into it. It looks as if the Manchester United board, new structure, Ineos, whatever you want to call it, are giving Ten Hag more time. It is incredible. It is insane. I can't believe he's still here. I have no idea why he's still here, but he is. And they are giving him at least another 2 games. It is quite phenomenal. I thought that was the worst Manchester United I have seen under Ten Hag. And I've got to say, I think it was probably the worst I've seen in years. It was worse than Rangnick, worse than Ollie, worse than Moyes, worse than Mourinho, worse than all the managers they've had since Ten Hag. It is clearly him that is the issue. There is no style of play in 3 seasons now. It is quite incredible. But he wins trophies, and that's all that matters. Now, look, trophies are what we play for, right? They're massively important in the game. But if you have no style of play and you write your league season off pretty much every season, and I'm not talking about titles here, I'm talking about European football, it is absolutely pointless keeping hold of him. I would just put anybody in charge now, even if it is Ruud van Nistelrooy. It is an absolute mess as far as I'm concerned. Henry, obviously a great result for you boys. You dominated them. And to be fair, I think even with 11 men, you would have smashed them. They were that bad. I saw the stats last night on Match of the Day that said you were basically all over them with 11. And he didn't even get much better or worse when they had 10. It was just complete domination. I must say, I thought Ange played really good football. I thought they were superb. But Manchester United, that is a sorry, sorry side, mate. What did you make of it, bro?
Yeah, well, he's making me eat humble pie, isn't he? I'm wanting about, and then we've won 4 on a bounce. and we're actually scoring goals. We're playing really good football. I thought the lineup he got pretty much, other than Timo Werner, but obviously Son picked up a knock. I don't think Werner was that bad either. I thought he did lots of good runs, just same old Werner can't finish. But I thought we absolutely took the piss out of them. I'm not going to lie. Tottenham and Liverpool have checked in to the Old Trafford Hotel, and we've absolutely annihilated them. I don't know what Ten Hag's doing. Like this, he's shaking his head on the touchline. But if I was that manager, I would be losing my mind. I'd be going nuts, giving out instructions, screaming at the players. He looks emotionless. Like when you watch Ange, we're 2-0 up. Timo Werner, I think it was Kulu. No, it wasn't Kulu. Solanke gave the ball away, and he's going mad. And we're the team that are 2-0 up. I thought he got his spot on. I thought the game management, Van der Ven, by the way, I don't know how else you can describe that guy. It's the second time this season he's run out from the back line all the way to the other end. I don't think there's another centre-back in world football that can do that. I know it's not really what a defender should be doing, but it's phenomenal. Brennan Johnson, 4 goals in 4 games? I thought he was really good. And I'll be honest, if we had Son on that left-hand side, that would have been 6 or 7. Because if he gets those 3 or 4 chances that Timo Werner has, he scores at least 2 or 3 of them. Absolutely ripped him to shreds. Bruno Fernandes, you want your captain to stand up. Probably wasn't a red card, but still, if you're slipping, don't leave your foot out. I mean, he catches him. Of course, Maddison's going to make the most of it. I don't think it was a red. And we toyed with him. He made the right subs at the right time, looking for Thursday. Brought on Mikey Moore. He nearly scored a worldie. He's only 17. Looks a real player. And ever since we sat on here a couple of weeks ago after that Arsenal game, and I was absolutely distraught. I'm still not 100% convinced. However, we've turned the corner. We battered Brentford. That should have been 4 or 5. We should have battered United. That was 4 or 5. Should have been 4 or 5. We won in Europe with 10 men. We beat Coventry. And I look at the fixtures we've got coming up. We've got West Ham. If we don't put 4 or 5 past them at the moment, they're absolutely toilet. We've got Crystal Palace who lost to an Everton side. I'm not saying I'm not going to do a Deji and say we're going to win a title, but I look at the run of games we've got, and the Brighton game on Sunday, I think that would be a really good test for us because it's 2 really strong footballing sides going head to head.
Mate, that
But
could be about 6-6 with both your high line.
well, we kept a clean sheet yesterday, and it's back-to-back clean sheets. So we've turned the corner. Dominic Solanke, I think he's been a good signing for us. He's not getting, clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities, but he seems to get a poacher's chance, right place, right time, getting the rebounds in. Kulusevski, by the way, I think he's been absolutely phenomenal the last 4 or 5 games for us. I thought he was the best man in the pitch. I didn't agree with him giving Van de Ven man of the match. I thought Kulu run the show yesterday, even when they had 11 men on the pitch.
He's better in that position, isn't he? He's much better there than on the wing.
I think you can get away with playing that system against, teams that are happy to sit back, the Uniteds, the Evertons, the Palaces, but playing a 2-10s and a DM against the Cities and other teams in the league, that they might suss you out. But Kulusevski yesterday was absolutely unplayable. The amount of times he picked up the ball on the turn, played the right pass out to Werner, who, by the way, I mean, I thought he's running in behind. He's absolutely brilliant. He just gets up to that chance, and I'm like, right, bury it. Hits you straight into the keeper. But 10 out of 10 performance from us. And people are saying, oh, yeah, they got a man sent off. He beat 10 men. I don't care if they had 11 men on the pitch. We still would have scored 2 or 3 yesterday. I thought United were absolutely lost for words. And, flawless. And Said and everyone's been saying, get rid of this manager. Those are the sort of performances that just back up their argument, because United were absolutely awful. I think that's the best performance from Ange I've seen at Tottenham, but the worst performance from Erik ten Hag I've seen at United, because they were absolutely horrendous, giving the ball away, no cohesion. The substitutions. I don't think Mainu had an injury. I think that's just PR. I think he just subbed him off. But they were terrible, mate. Absolutely terrible.
They really were. I've got to say it, like normally we would sit and cook. A Man United rep, I can't even roast or try and cook flawless. He's been saying this for, ever since I've known him. And yesterday he basically backed up why you need to get rid of this guy. I mean, real talk, bro. Before I bring Lee and Dan in, I've got to say it, flawless. That was Man United. That was one of Man United's best 11s yesterday. Onana in goal, you had Dalot, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez, obviously Kobe Mainu, Ugarte starting, Bruno in the middle, and then a front three of Garnacho, Rashford, and Xerxes. Like, this is his team he wants. He spent the most money. I still see no style of play. And it's not just the style and the quality, it's actually what's up top here. They actually don't have it. They just ain't got it. And this manager has to go. And I cannot believe that we're hearing today that he's actually going to be staying. I really was not going to be surprised if we woke up hearing that he'd been sacked and Ruud van Nistelrooy is taken over or something like that. Because for me, it is absolutely crazy that we've got this guy still as the Manchester United manager. Now, listen, we're all sitting there going, hey, hooray, keep him. But come on, man, it's mad. I don't even know where you want to start, bro. What's your thoughts? How you feeling? How emotional are you? How angry are you? Take the floor, man.
I'm not emotional or angry, and people have asked me that because I'm at the 5th stage of grief is acceptance. I've been here. You said this, Potts. I've known you quite a long time now, and I've been saying this for the longest, and I said this all summer long. Just because we got Ineos, just because we had a good window, we kept the manager, and I didn't drink the Kool-Aid for that reason, because I can take my emotions and love for the club aside and look at it logically. I see I look at the manager, I look at the squad, look at the 11 and go, this is not going to work. We are not a good side. We have many, many issues. When I ask you, ask me, Potts over, ask me, where'd you have Manchester United before the season starts? 7th. People looked at me like I was crazy. Like, now people would say that is a success. And like I said, that's why I'm not angry. That's why I'm not mad. That's why I'm not shouting. That's why I'm not upset, because we're just not a very good outfit. It's pretty much give or take a couple players, 2 or 3 players, the same team as last season that struggled. I said all summer long in particular, and I get into the game as well, where the goals coming from? We don't create enough and we don't score enough. I'm not hearing that it's a goal scoring problem, because Spurs yesterday, fantastic, 110%. I don't rate their attack like that, but what Ange's done has set them up in a system where they create a lot of chances. They scored a lot of goals last season. They scored a lot of goals this season, but most people don't rate the matter of the attack, because coaching matters. That's why coaching matters, and that's why I'd love to sit here and say, Manchester United, like Henry's mentioned it, how many chances they miss. We don't create enough chances to the point to say that. In regards to the game, things are always very telling, and I said this, I was doing my watch along at the start of the game, and I looked at the midfield they picked, and they had Bentancur, Kulusevski, and Maddison. And I laughed and said, Ange don't rate Manchester United or Ten Hag whatsoever. They come into
very attacking midfield,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They come into our gaff and play no recognized DM, and they got 2 on the bench. I said, I've been watching football a long, long time. I've never seen any big 6 side go away to a big 6 side and play an attacking 8 and 2 10s. It's not like, and I rate Bentancur, but it's not like Bentancur is a deep line playmaker who picks up the ball off the back 4. Like, he's an attacking 8, final third, middle third. Kulusevski's a 10. He's that much of a 10 that he plays wing. Madison's a 10. That's how much he don't rate it. No, that's never happened before. Bear in mind, like I said, Basuma and Sa are on the bench. But he's like, you know what? These I don't have to worry about their attack. And he was justified in that. In regards to the game, there's losing matches and there's losing matches like that. And that's the type of loss that gets the manager the sack. These players are done. Dalot, as much as the run was fantastic from Van de Ven, and he should have been took out, why is Dalot in the first 3 minutes not tracking Johnson? And Dalot's someone who's normally, even when Manchester United are bad, are reliable. He's holding his hand up early, and Johnson scores the goal. It's like, yo, just track the run. I've seen you do that, but yeah, the players have done woeful performance from everybody. I can't single out any single one player, apart from Onana, because thankfully Son wasn't playing. Because if Son was playing, it would have been 7 or 8 a record. Werner missed 2 1-on-1s. Solanke missed the 1-on-1. Johnson hit the post. It was 3-0. That's 4 clear-cut chances I just mentioned right there. It could have been a wrap. And to anyone who was backing Ten Hag, and I want to hear from them, because you lot started this, like, our fan bases fall in love and let their emotions cloud their logic. We wrote a letter to keep this man. Not we, but the fan base. Wrote a letter to keep this guy in charge because he won the FA Cup. What kind of nonsense is this? We finished 8th for the minus goal difference and had our worst ever return in the Champions League and worst ever return in the Premier League. No way should you keep your job. You could never fail at your job in the worst ever fashion, 50% of it at any top profession. But yeah, our fan base wrote a letter and backed this. And because we had a good summer, thought that we was going to do well. And people had the cheek to call me negative and before the season started and go, why don't you think we can do anything? Why are you not backing Manchester? I wrote off the season before it started. I said, I see all of you lot in the season 2025/26 because we are doing nothing of note. And it's even gone worse. I thought it was going to be bad, but I didn't expect it to go this bad yet. And all them people talking about how many league goals we're going to score now, shut up. We are the joint second lowest goal scorers in the league. The only team we've scored more goals than so far is Southampton. Our attack is bad, but it ain't that bad.
How much do you put on the players? Because like Garnacho for me was the only one in that set, even when you went down to 10 men, who was actually making runs and going at us.
I've said this about the players. I don't rate the players highly whatsoever. I don't. And they're not good enough to just be out there in no system. Because that's what you need. If you have a manager who sets you up in a great way tactically and has a good system, that can cover the deficiencies of the players. We don't have the players to cover for the deficiencies of the manager, and we don't have the manager to cover for the deficiencies of the players. Because Ten Hag was never going to set us up tactically in a good way to do anything of note this season. So then you're relying on the individual skill of the players. And this is why I said all summer long, we need to go and get more. As much as we had a good window and I liked what we did, we needed much, much more. Because that's what we're relying on. Manchester United will go as far as the players take us this season. And even the good performances we put in this season, that's nothing to do with Ten Hag. That's just the quality of the players in those particular moments. Everyone was woeful. Like I said, I mentioned Dalot. Even yesterday, who's been one of our better players, you see him getting caught on the ball. And that's because there's no attacking options whatsoever. Midfield was awful. Everyone deserves criticism. But when everybody looks bad in any team, and that's not just at football, in any team at the highest level, who does everyone look at? The manager. How have you got everybody performing poor? And these are your guys. It's not like it's season 1. And these are players that you've inherited. Everybody you've signed out there, everyone out there, you've either signed or co-signed. You've either actually signed and brought into the football club, or you've gave the captaincy to, or you've gave a new deal to. And to Bruno, it's a red card. Now people might be surprised to say that's a reckless challenge. Reckless, out of control. No need to do anything. You know what I'm saying? There's just no need to make that challenge.
I don't know if it's a red. I think he's out of control. But...
Never a red. Come on.
It's a red. You know what? If Maddison, what does Maddison's leg have to be planted? And then he breaks his leg for people to go as a red card.
Listen, I love you, man. I love you, and I agree with everything you say. But that is 100% never a sending off. I think Maddison got the cheek to say it's not a sending off and all that. Like, he made a meal of it, dark arts or whatever you like, made it look a lot worse than what it was.
Aren't they?
Hey, judges, you know why he said it wasn't a red card? Because Bruno was out there playing for.
He studs up. He's never going to hurt him. Did Maddison carry on? Yeah, of course he was always going to carry on.
He got bad about 5 times, Maddison.
It is, but it's again the fact that he slipped. It's like, I say this all the time about referees. Let's say it's not a red card. Let's not even go into that. Don't give the referee a decision to make. Look at where you are.
Don't give it, but this is where we're getting now. Don't give the referees a chance because they're crap. You know what I mean? Like, it spoiled a game of football again yesterday. Not the first time, by the way.
Did it spoil the game of football because we were better without him? That's why Maddison didn't want him to get sent off, because Bruno was out there playing in white and navy. That's why.
Do you know what? It's one of those games where the substitution didn't make a difference. That he was getting outplayed, outdone, and everything. And I think the worst thing I could say from a Man United, from a fan, and we've been here, Dan, we've been here.
Yeah.
When you look at someone like Garnacho, who's, how old is he? 18, 19?
I think he's 20.
Whatever age he is.
Yeah, I think he's 20.
He's the only one that can walk off that pitch and walk into the pub. I know they don't, but would be able, and wouldn't be slung out, because he worked his socks off. Nothing hardly went for him, but at least he was working, giving it a go. The rest of them, that Rashford, it's a disgrace. If you look back at what he does there, like, you know what I mean, don't even bother chasing back. And listen, yeah, you can go on about it's a great run from Van Vet, and it is. I'm not saying it is, but you know, it was like Moses at the old sea when it just opened up for him. Like, I thought I was watching Moses, the film. You know what I mean? Like, the actual thing just opened up and whatever, like, you know. And then you got the lad at the back post. Just, oh my God.
3 minutes in.
Oh, who's the right? Like, you got rid of Wan-Bissaka for the right back. You know what I mean? He's nowhere near as good as Wan-Bissaka. Like, you know what I mean?
Now, Mazraoui's a good player. Mazraoui's been playing. He's one of the very few who's been good.
Tino Werner.
Yeah, he has actually been good. He has actually been good, Mazraoui.
Yeah, well,
what surprised me though was actually, like, I looked at it and I thought, well, who have Man United got out? And it's like, nah, this is their team. Like, this is their team. Like, there's nobody there that I looked at and thought, yeah, maybe they'd be a bit better with X, Y, Z. Nah, this is their team, man. They brought on Højlund. They obviously brought off Kobe Manu. They brought on Mason Mount. I see Christian Eriksen get. They pretty much got their whole side here. And I'm like, this is a poor outfit of a side. Now, I understand and appreciate that we're looking at a new structure now, and in a couple of years' time, there might be a different United. But I said, I think Manchester United will improve this season, because if this Ten Hag guy starts the way that I think, they'll get rid of him pretty quickly. And they're not going to. It looks like he's going to stay, this guy, for the Porto game, for the Villa game.
What have they said? Have they given him the dreaded vote of confidence? What did they
pretty
say?
much said that he's not going anywhere yet. I mean,
and I don't trust these lot. I said this about Ineos. I didn't want them in the first place. I looked at them with the side eye. For anyone who wants what's best for Manchester United and is willing to work with the Glazers, I'm like, looking at you, but let's see what you do. And when they kept the manager, I was like, all right, you lot are incompetent. You're not very good at your job, because you had every reason to get rid of him. I'm not hearing any reasoning or any excuse. They're a part of this now. It was because you lot have co-signed this, and the fact that they didn't see this on the horizon, and I could. It's like, you are much more intelligent than me. You lot are paid thousands of pounds to do your job. You're very, very competent people. Extremely competent. Been in the game a long time. You're not new to nobody there is new to their roles or new to being in these situations. And you watched us. Even if it was from February when you got in, you watched us from February till the end of the season, and seen the poor performances and seen the poor results and seen the poor individual responses, and kept him because we won the FA Cup. That's legit crazy, what it was, because we won the FA Cup. And that people ask me all the time.
Mad.
Yeah, I've said it to you when people are like, oh, if you win the FA Cup and he stays, would you rather not win the FA Cup? No, every time I'd rather win the FA Cup. Because one, I want to see my team win trophies, and two, show me who you are from the jump. Now I know what I'm dealing with. Even with trying to get Tuchel and the whole way that went, it's like, so you couldn't find anybody better than Erik ten Hag. So you're just clearly not up to the job then.
Just give it to me.
If you can't find someone better than Erik ten Hag, then you are incompetent for your job, and you lot need to be sacked and get new people in, because that's not tough to go and get a couple.
You know what?
Teams get new managers.
Is right, and I don't know what you think about this, so I'll come to Dan on this one, right? Because Dan, you must have been pretty shocked, because on Friday you thought Man United would turn up and actually do a job on Spurs, right? But like, I'm looking at it now thinking if they give it to Ruud van Nistelrooy, which is what they're saying that could happen if Ten Hag don't win in the next 2 games, right? Are they not just doing what they did with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Why don't they go and get like a Tuchel or actual manager who's got a CV that says, I win things? Like, because for me, that's what Manchester United needs now. And that team will start to play better. Because as much as I don't rate some of the players, they're nowhere near 15th in the league or whatever the hell they're looking to go and be right now. Because that's where they're heading. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Dan. What are you looking at, bro?
Yeah, look, I definitely did think Manchester United would turn up there, because I feel like every time Ten Hag's needed to turn up, somehow he brings out a result. And I think that's the game for me, that he hasn't managed to do it. And that would be the nail in the coffin, because he's rode his luck too many times now. I think there's a clear and obvious blueprint to set up your side against Spurs that we've seen so many managers do and so many managers have success from. And he didn't do it, which baffled me, because I thought it was obvious how you should be setting up against Spurs. I think everything Flawless said is right. I think you've been bang on the money for a long time now. And the fact of the matter is that Ineos have come in and suggested that they're going to make sure that Manchester United are back. They need to be doing that quicker. Manchester United they're not just a big club. At times, they're a super club. They're compared to Real Madrid. They're in the same sentence as teams like that. And they're on that level. And they've got a pull when they're not in European competitions, and when they are, they can still attract the biggest players. And for me, not to sack a manager now is ridiculous, because when I look at the teams that are comparable to Manchester United in terms of size, that they just wouldn't have this. Like, you think if Real Madrid had a manager putting up results like this, do you think he'd still be there? No. Look at when Lopetegui was there. They got rid of him sharpish because they knew they'd made a mistake. Now look at him stinking up the gaff at West Ham because he's not good enough. This is what I'm saying about Manchester United. If they believe they're a big club and they need to be back, they need to act quickly. And like you said, Thomas Tuchel could walk through the door and do a better job. A lot of managers could do a better job. I believe Andrew would probably do a better job than Ten Hag.
Definitely do a better job. Agreed.
Because Ten Hag just has no obvious. At least Ange is 100% committed to his football and
There's
his
no
style
game
of play.
plan, is there?
Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing from Ten Hag. And before that game even started, like you look at the close up of the camera on the Manchester United players, and I think he's lost the dressing room. These guys are not up for this game, like at all. They're negative face. They don't look like there's camaraderie between any of them. And I was like, this is not going to be an easy afternoon. And it turned out to be horrific for them. And Bruno has absolutely no need to stick his leg up, by the way. No need. Just slip over, mate. Just slip over. And then just get back up. And I'm pretty sure, just back yourself or one of your teammates to stop Maddison or delay him a little bit more till you're back in position.
He's on the halfway line.
He was nowhere near to go. He wasn't even in the half. He was in the Spurs half.
He stuck his foot up because he's already frustrated during training from the last few weeks, from the Twente game. Exactly. He's built up anger and he's taken it out there just by sticking his leg up. And I agree with what Lee's saying, by the way. If that's a red card going forward, the Prem's done. But ultimately, he doesn't. We're in a day and age now where the refs are so bad that you, like you said, don't give him a decision. Don't stick your leg up. And ultimately he did. And we know that they are so incompetent, they will send you off now.
That's the thing.
Look at the red cards you've had this season, Lee. They just can't use their common sense.
I can't.
And they talk about last season, they were talking about protecting the game, and there was the Kovacic-Odegaard thing at Manchester City, and they didn't send him off because they thought it was protecting the game. Now, they don't care about ruining spectacles. They'll just send them off because they believe they are the spectacle, in my opinion. They want to be on camera.
With Bruno yesterday, and watching the game and all that, he is the one player in the Man United team that's got quality.
Take him, judges. Hey, please, Arsenal, come and get him. Take him, please.
I'm not saying that Arsenal want him.
I know you don't want him because
I think technically
he's good for us, but not for you. I hear you.
He put in a lovely couple of passes and all that. He's a good player. He's petulant and all that, but that's what goes with him. Put a good team around him, he'll do well. But there's so many poor players. The player up front, I can't pronounce his name like that. Zerzi or whatever his name is. Weak. You know what I mean? This is Man United, Hoyland runs around, but you know what I mean? I think potentially he's a good player, you know what I mean? But, they go on about this centre half like he's the best thing since sliced bread, Mane. You know what I mean? He's not good enough. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, like, we've been there, Dan. We've been there when we was at Arsenal, and you look at these players and you go like, they're not good. And this is the thing that Flores, you've got, like, my problem. You've got Man United have got this problem. Me and Dan said this yesterday. I don't think Spurs. We're saying Spurs, Chelsea, and Arsenal. I would not take one Man United player, not one. You know what I mean? Like, so how can you compete with the likes of?
The only one I'd take is Kobe Mainoo.
I'd take Kobe Mainoo. That's the only one I'd take. It's the only one I would take. It's bad. Years ago, we were doing this years ago. We'd be like, "Oh, I'll have him. I'll have him."
Yeah,
but now we're struggling.
Not in his current form.
I'd probably take the Lit,
Don't get me wrong. He's a good player, but I don't think Chelsea would take him from their midfield with what they've got at the moment. No. But you look at Chelsea. If it's just like, say, instance, if we're Arsenal, there's 2 or 3 you can pick straight away without going into it details. Like, you know what I mean? Not all of them, but there's 2 or 3. You know what I mean? Like Tottenham, you can take 2 or 3. Like, Arsenal, you take 11. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's another story.
Oh, is it now? Yeah, you take 11 title charge. Yeah, is that what we're saying?
What I'm saying is,
yeah,
we
we got you, man.
I'm serious. I wouldn't take one player from that team. It may be, but I wouldn't take any of them. Like the goalkeeper, I don't think is good enough.
Rubbish. He played well yesterday, but he's
but
he only played well because Werner couldn't finish. If that's on, he's having a
I thank my lucky stars, Henry, that it wasn't, son. You know what I'm saying? Werner went through. I thank.
Listen, he ain't all as he cracked up to be that song on one-on-ones. I remember last year. Don't go about that. He's not guaranteed. He's not guaranteed.
Oh yeah, but that game.
Do you know a funny one though? Do you know a funny one? Man United have signed Højlund and Xerxes, right, as their 2 centre forwards. Combined, they've got 20 goals between them for Bologna and Atalanta. Højlund's got 9 and Xerxes got 11. Like, okay, if that's what we're going to be signing at Everton or I don't know, even West Ham, you might think, yeah, fair play, they could actually grow into be a good player. This is Man United. I have never seen strikers of Højlund's or Xerxes' quality. I grew up on York and Cole, Sheringham, Solskjaer. Then it went down to the Berbatov and Rooney days, Tevez days. Then you've always had top quality. Robin Van Persie. And now I'm looking at it thinking, I don't rate Xerxes. I don't rate Højlund. I don't see anyone else coming on from the bench other than them 2. So they ain't got a striker. Rashford, I'm sorry, nah. I ain't rated him for a long time. Most overrated player I've ever seen.
Even Javier Hernandez, I think you take right now.
Exactly. Chicharito would get in. Michael Owen would get in.
I wish we had someone of Hernandez's quality.
Do you know what's mad?
Danny Welbs is getting in.
Oh, Welbs is getting in. Welbs is getting in.
Look at Chelsea.
Danny Welbeck. Yeah, Danny Welbeck.
That's my guy. Shout out Welbs.
Isn't he on his best goal scoring so far this season or something? But look at Chelsea. I know we're going to get onto them and look at Liverpool. Their managers have been there 5 minutes. Yep. Chelsea, the top goal scorers in the league. I know they've had $1 billion, but there's still a lot of pressure on the managers.
Well, we bring Ange into that.
Yeah, we've scored 12 goals.
Because coaching matters. So as bad as these players have been, a better manager gets more out of these players. Look at the Chelsea side now. Yes, they've had a couple additions. We were not talking about Chelsea like this when Poch was there.
Do you know what's mad?
Why is that?
Everyone talks about our high line, and City have conceded more goals than us.
Well, because it's easy to say it because it's lazy. Like when people just say, like when Spurs lose, it's Spursy, rather than just actually look in the context of the game. But it's really an easy thing to say. Like I'm mentioning with the quality of the players. Yes, these players are not up to scratch in regards to where Manchester United wanted to be.
If you had quality better players, Flores, I don't think it'd be a massive jumper. Like if you put Palmer in that United team, if you put, say, Son, Odegaard, Rice, yeah, you'd get better results, but there still is no game plan.
Oh yeah, with this manager, to rap, like when I say that, I'm talking about under a competent manager, we'd be a cohesive unit. As bad, I'm just talking about doing the basics. As bad as we was last season, we lost 14 league games last season. We were 9 points off top 4. We were 3 wins away from top 4. If we lose 11, which is horrendous, instead of 14, we finish in the top 4. That is not tough. We've won 2 trophies under this manager as he's been. I'm talking winning Europa Leagues, FA Cups, and League Cups, which are all second tier, third tier trophies. I'm not asking for Premier
Don't
League
do
and
it on
Champions
the, on
League.
the Europa League because I do some disgusting things for that this season.
Yeah, we know you. You know you. Hey man, you said it last week. You're just another 250 million away from a trophy.
Yeah. We got
Remember?
to spend 250
man.
million in January. We might win that Europa League.
Nah. You got a couple years, man. Couple years.
I love
and
that,
then
man.
It's you.
Let me bring this up, Flawless. Let me bring this super
Yeah, of
chat up
course.
to you, man, because I spoke to a United fan today who was actually genuinely worried about this. Is it true that Sporting Director Ashworth's a close friend of Gareth Southgate? There's a lot, but I said to him, "How is this Ten Hag still here?" And his reply was, "Because we know what Southgate's the next guy." Is that serious? Is that actually what you can see happening?
In regards to him being, I know he's worked in the FA because Gary Neville mentioned this yesterday. I was watching his review when he recaps the game on Sky Sports on their YouTube channel, and he was saying that Dan Ashworth is. Do I believe it's Southgate? No, because if that's the case, they would have interviewed him. They would have like the only manager we know for sure. Like the rivals like saying it because it's hilarious, and I would do the same if it was a rival fan. Do I believe it's Southgate? No, but they have shown their incompetence. So if they did go and get Southgate, should I be mad or shocked? No, because you've shown me you're incompetent. Because I've watched the circus that you did this summer long, where it was like, all right, we're gonna get rid of the manager, interview Tuchel, doesn't go right with Tuchel, we can't go and get anybody else nonsense. Hansi Flick was there and is now at Barcelona and is flying. Ruben Amorim was there. That's two managers off it right there that you could have went and got. We're seeing it with Chelsea, we're seeing it with Liverpool. There's managers out there who can come in and just be competent. And if you're competent, that'll go far away. It's a system game. You're not relying on individuals as much as you used to, like it's the 90s or the early 2000s. Like, it's not that anymore. The game in 2024 has never been before such a system game. The Mavericks don't exist. You have the odd one. And Manchester United is always bringing new players to come and we're always looking for players to transform our side, not improve, transform. We're looking for Xerxes and Maserati and De Ligt, Euro when he gets back, Agate to come in and It's like, no, them players don't exist. Them players do not exist. It's about systems and profiles and having players to come in there and do that. And that's why I get so annoyed, because you don't have to be great to be competent. It's like, it's just the bare minimum. And we're not even.
What do they have to do then for you, Flawless? Like for your fan, but I mean, not all your fan base. Some of your fans, by the way, are a disgrace. They're accepting this nonsense, right? But for those of you like yourself, say the guys, rants, etc., that are saying like, nah, we need change. What does that look like for you to go to Barada and to Ashworth and go, oh, thank God they've done the right thing here? Like, what does that look like to you in the short term?
They have to just admit their mistake and just let him go. Like, that's what you have to do. Like, you've backed him for whatever reason, which was a woeful decision. And I'm looking at everybody with the side eye that said yes to that and co-signed that. There's the fact that you hear reports, run up the likes as well, that, oh, we're surprised, we're not happy with the playing style, or we don't know where the goals are coming from. I could have told you that before the season started. I didn't need 6-7 games in the league and in the Carabao Cup and the Europa League to go. We don't have a playing style. We don't even know where the goals are going to come from. Look at the team. Again, too many people look at the Manchester United name and look at the Manchester United badge. Blank out the name and blank out the badge. Look at the manager and look at the players. And then look at how he sets up. We've had a whole season. It's not like this is his third season he's been here. You know what you are getting. You're not new to the situation. Nobody watching is new to the situation. You've been here since February. And if you're fans of the club like you claim, like Ratcliffe claims, you've been watching a long time. You would have been watching the entire time Ten Hag's been here and seen how poor it is. So stop burying your head in the sand. I don't know about Ineos in regards to getting rid of managers because they're new. But if they continue to keep him, then I know it's just you're just standing down on it because of your arrogance and because of your ego, rather than you don't want to admit that you made a mistake. Admit you made you made a mistake, let him go. And you don't even have to go get what's it called? The permanent fixture. Just give it to Ruud to the end of the season. Just have an interim. That's all I need to do. I feel like it's Mario Kart, and you know when you have the cloud above you, that's what it feels like at Manchester United. Just get rid of the cloud. That's all you need to do. Go on, Henry.
I was going to say, so there's this rumor obviously going around, and Sky Sports are reporting that he's got 2 games, and your games are Porto and Aston Villa. Now, I'll be honest, I think you lose both of them, but for whatever reason, let's say you go to Portugal, you go to Porto, you get the 3 points in the Europa League, because I think if you don't beat Porto, I think that puts you in like the bottom 12 of the Europa League. And then if you lose, if you beat Aston Villa, let's say you win both those games, I don't think that's going to change absolutely anything. Like My problem with Ange Postecoglou was the fact that the things that we've done in the 4 games, we haven't conceded from set pieces. We have looked actually stronger defensively. He's changed some of the game's management and he's taken off the players at the right time. Ten Hag, if he wins those 2 games, I don't think that changes absolutely nothing for the club just to say, oh, well, now we're going to keep him for another couple of months. Like, why 2 games? You've conceded 3 goals at home twice to Tottenham and Liverpool. I've just looked, only Ipswich and Southampton have scored less goals than Man United. They're both promoted sides. It's the biggest club in the league. And they look absolutely... And bearing in mind, he's had 650 million. Like, everyone talks about Arteta's had 600 million quid. Why is no one mentioning about bloody Ten Hag? It's because he's won an FA Cup and a League Cup. Okay, let's look at his league positioning. They're second. No, is it your lowest finish in Premier League history he's had?
Yeah, it was our worst ever Champions League campaign in British history and worst ever Premier League campaign in our history. And they decided to keep him. So to answer your question in regards to go on, Henry. Go on.
I was going to say, if you look at his top 10 signings, how many of them have actually been a success?
0.
Like you've done £100 million on the 2 forwards, on Højlund and Xerxes. You've done 4. I mean, I think, is it too early? I'll judge the leaked in a different system because we've seen him.
I'm giving the new signings. I give a blight because you've just got here and it's a mess.
Yeah, you can't. People are saying your guy looks like Conor Gallagher. He's played 1 game for United. Come on,
that's disrespectful to Conor Gallagher, by the way.
Disrespect.
Who's out there in the Champions League playing last night against Madrid?
He played well last night.
Yeah, exactly.
He ain't a bad player. He's
not a bad player.
It's kind of like systems. It's kind of like systems are important. But Henry, to answer your question in regards to if we get a win in either of those games, which I don't think we will, but if we get a win in either of those games, they'll see it as a win. They've made a decision. To me, this is again just outside looking in. They want this to work because they've backed him. They've gave him a new deal. They've spent money in the transfer window. And we know what they're like. People are stubborn. We've seen this happen many times before. Seen it happen at Manchester United. We've seen it happen at other top clubs as well, where ownerships and people who make those decisions, the hierarchy, don't want to get it wrong, and they will just dig their heels in rather than just admit he's not good enough. So let's say we do somehow miraculously get a result against Porto or Villa. Will they keep him? Yes. Does it change anything short term or long term? No. It doesn't, not in the slightest. It does in their eyes because it's like, all right, maybe we can go on a run. People who are still backing this manager, yes. I know what I've been watching. Potts literally said before he introduced me, as long as he's known me, I've been talking about Manchester United like this, and it's been a year and some change now. Like, it's really not difficult. So I think he has 2 games. If he loses to Porto and Villa, he's gone in that international break. And do we beat Porto? No. Do we beat Villa? No. Now, are we good enough to go get draws? Yes. Say again.
Did Porto win their first game in the Europa?
No, they lost to Blink 3-2.
So they've got to win,
which is mad. To be fair, mad because I think Porto are one of the favourites to win the whole thing. Them and Fenerbahce for me because Jose, it just does what Jose does. Ten Hag 1 to 2 to be sacked before Christmas and 6 to 4 to be gone before Porto. Don't understand why he's still there. As losing to the Spurs is disgusting. Big up Alex, thanks for the super chat, mate. Look, we got to move on to other clubs, but I mean, I've got to say this personally. Just touching on Spurs very quickly. I think there's one player that's levels above the others in that squad, man, and it's Van de Ven. I think he is so good compared to anyone else. Some people that think Romero is better, like, really need your head testing, in my opinion. This guy is clearly a better player. He doesn't do the bozo moments. He's got pace, he's got power, he's got drive. I think he's a phenomenal centre-half. And I think teams will start to look at him. I really do. And this is not just coming off the back of Manchester United because he ran through the whole defence and squared it. I've been saying this for a while. Tobes has been disagreeing with me for a long time about he loves Romero. I don't know if he's got some obsession with him, but he absolutely loves him. I think Van de Ven is so much better. I think he's a quality centre-half, man. And I know that Tottenham, people laugh at Tottenham conceding goals, but I genuinely believe that's the system, not the personnel at the back 4. I think Van de Ven is going to be a top talent. And I look at him, Henry, excuse me, and I think he's your best player by far. I really do.
Yeah, I think the difference between Romero and Van de Ven is I think you can replace Romero for our system. I look at how important that recovery pace is. I don't think there's in terms of his actual physical attributes, I don't think there's a defender that can come in and replace that pace. There'll be better defenders out there. Saliba, Van Dijk, of course. Gabriel, there's an argument, but in terms of that raw pace, I don't think there's a fullback out there that can come in. Because our high line is that high up, we can afford to give forwards at times 3 or 4 yards and just know that he's going to get there. He only had to make that recovery run once yesterday. And then the fact that Ange subs him off, 10 minutes to go, I rate that so highly in a manager. You can see that he's flagging. Don't bury him into the ground like we've seen managers do with Harry Kane. Take him off. There's a game on Thursday. That is what I've been calling out for, and he's done it. But in terms of Van de Ven, I think he's, for this system, I think he's irreplaceable. Not in terms of his defensive ability, but that just knowing that you've got that insurance policy of Van de Ven's going to be there. Because I don't think there's a forward I think to my knowledge, he's the third fastest player in Prem history. And he's a defender. He's a centre half.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
He is ridiculous, man. I've got to say, I've been so impressed with him for a long time.
Well,
long time now. Last season, I was impressed. This season, fair play. This one comes in. Even Ipswich played better than Man United. What a joke. Ipswich were good yesterday, man. I thought they were quite
They'll give Villa
more
more of
football, actually.
They'll give Villa more of a game than they'll give Villa more a game than we will on Sunday.
By the way, that Liam Delap has started this season looking unreal. I know he scored finally yesterday, but he's looked decent every time I've seen him.
Decent player.
He's such a strong runner, yeah.
It's Rory Delap's son, isn't it?
Yeah, which is so weird because I don't think they could be more opposite players.
Nah.
Like, Delap was like,
unless he brings out that long throw.
Yeah. Oh, imagine he's got. Yeah, but he's the type of player that needs to be on the end of it as well.
That's what he needs, man. Listen, before we move to Arsenal, Dan, might as well bring up yourself. Chelsea destroyed Brighton, man. That high line was an absolute joke. You absolutely destroyed them. In the first half, it could have been about 8 or 9, real talk. Cole Palmer, what an elite baller. This guy is absolutely superb. But every time he plays well, he's better than Saka. Every time he doesn't play so well, it's quiet. Why does everyone get compared to Saka all the time? Like, this is a real serious question. I don't even think they're playing in the same position now, and they're still getting compared to Saka. This guy's an attacking midfielder in the 10, isn't he, for Chelsea? And he's getting compared to our right winger. Why doesn't he get compared to Foden or Bellingham? Why is it always Saka? I don't get this. But look, I wanted to have that debate because, we've got other people on here that are more neutral than myself, Dan and Lee, because obviously we're going to back our boys. But I looked at Chelsea and I just thought that Cole Palmer, he was levels above everybody on the pitch, not just because of the quality of the free kick, but he had so many more chances. He could have scored 7 or 8. He was that good on the weekend. And I appreciate Brighton's system helped and he absolutely took advantage of it. But you must believe you've got a chance with a player like that in the side, man. He's so good.
Yeah, of course. Like I don't understand the comparison either. I think last year and where he played for England probably spiked that comparison a little bit more, obviously with the fact he didn't start a game at the Euros and things like that. But I just think it's poor sort of footballing debate to have that conversation. Both are the future of the England side. We shouldn't be comparing them off each other. And they're different types of players at the end of the day and different squads that are competing for different things as well. So I just think it's a waste of energy, to be honest, with people that are having that debate all the time, because I think they're both quality players. Maybe that's right, by the way. Maybe Saka was the original benchmark for like young English.
Well, that's what I said yesterday to judges. And I said maybe Saka's the benchmark then, because Kudus is better than him, Palmer's better than him. Who else was there? Zoboslai, when he comes to Liverpool, was better than him, and Saka was just Kulusevski was better than him, and it's what's his name, Gordon and Barnes are better than him. It's like, wow,
I do think Palmer has. I think he's got
crazy
the X factor though. Like you look at even at like the Man City, the Super Cup final, who scores the equaliser against? Who scores the goal against Sevilla? Like who scores the goal in the Euro final against Spain? He's the sort of player that, it sounds crazy saying it, but when you look at a player's posture when they're on the ball, you can just tell they've got something, and it doesn't matter if it's playing a killer ball.
He can be world class for sure. He looks ridiculous.
No, he has. Surely he is world class.
He's got the same amount of goal contributions as Erling Haaland.
More than Haaland.
Well, there you go. He's playing at a team which is, no disrespect, Dan, but it's freshly built.
Well, what you were saying last year about
around it.
You were saying with, I think it was Flawless was saying, like, if you added Cole Palmer to that United team, what do you get? Well, I felt like we were in a similar boat last year under Poch. We had a manager with no game plan, making so many errors, and Palmer was bailing him out every single time, and we still didn't do that well. You know, when Poch finally got a game plan together, we started to move up the table. But we were sitting around 10th with Palmer balling out every week.
That's Guardiola's biggest mistake, in my opinion, since he's been a City manager. £40 million. I mean, hindsight's a fantastic thing. At the time, there was probably a couple of question marks above him. And I think now that there's this problem at Man City where Foden, for whatever reason, isn't coming off the back of that Euros, isn't starting as many games. If Manchester City had Cole Palmer in that side, I think they would have beaten Arsenal. I think he's absolutely electric.
I know the quality's there with Foden as well. I don't know if Pep would have ever bedded him in to the extent that he's been allowed to do at Chelsea.
I think Palmer's more versatile than him.
I don't know, because Foden can play in every position and probably more than Palmer. I think Palmer's been used false 9, right wing, 10. I think Foden, you could play him in a 4-3-3 in centre midfield. You can play him right, left wing, 10.
I don't think he's got a big goal threat as Palmer, though. I think on the
but last year, he wasn't far off him. Last year, he got a lot of goals. Double figures goals.
It's also got Haaland as well. So
yeah, exactly. So I think Guardiola is looking for a specific type of winger that I don't think Palmer or Foden is. They're fast. They're able to take on their man. They're all about their dribbling. Look at Doku, Savinho, Oscar Bob. They're all a similar type of player. I don't think Palmer or Foden fit that mold, because I believe Foden didn't have a preseason. Cole Palmer didn't have a preseason. Maresca decided he gets Palmer back into the team as quickly as possible. Pep is like, oh, I'm not sure with Foden. I don't know where to play him. I don't know where he fits in this system. There's a bit of a question mark at the moment. So I don't know whether Cole Palmer would have ever developed into the player that he currently is if he'd stayed at Manchester City. Sometimes things happen for a reason. Sometimes players have to move on.
I agree with that, Dan, because he would have been sat on the bench at Man City, wouldn't he, again? You know what I mean? And he's given his chance.
He gets a bit of momentum, then he's subbed off. Or he's like Grealish, exactly the same. He gets a bit of momentum, then he don't play a game.
But he's kept Grealish and Doku, or signed Doku ahead of Palmer. His levels above both of them.
Palmer wanted to leave. That's what it was. He didn't want to sell. Well, Palmer
Palmer wanted a loan. He actually said in an interview when he first joined Chelsea, he was like, my plan was to never leave City. But I wanted a loan because I believe, like, he saw like James Trafford going out on loan, and I think Company wanted him at Burnley, and they were like, "No, you either stay, do what Foden did, or you leave." And then Chelsea obviously came in deadline day with like 40 million, and
incredible signing.
I remember I was stood outside the bridge like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll be a decent squad player." Blah blah blah, and he had a couple of games right where I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy can't even get into City's 11." And he is levels ahead of every single player on the pitch for Chelsea. He's so sharp. Everything was one touch. And it weren't quite goals then. And then within like 3 weeks, it was like, we can't drop this guy. He looks that good. And then he's just, every single test he's had, he's just been able to like level up and go to the next level. It was only 2 weeks ago, people were telling me, he's probably not going to have the same sort of season he had last year. He's going to be tested. He's getting doubled up on. And do you know what? Yeah, he was. And I think it just takes a bit of adjustment to figure out what you're going to do differently. How do you ride those tackles that you're getting more of? He's going to be the most valuable player in the league this season
as well. I think Enzo's done really well with him.
I think, do you know what it was? I think for the first couple of games, I actually think Enzo tried to restrict him to an area of the pitch and be like, this is your role. Drop deep as a 6, come and get on the ball. The last couple of games, I think he's probably looked at last season and maybe they've had a chat and he's gone, I just kind of need to let Cole Palmer do as he pleases and he will win me the game of football. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. He wasn't dropping deep as a 6 to try and get on the ball like he was against Palace. He was like one of the furthest men running in behind. That's why he got so many shots.
Can he be like a Lampard for Chelsea, do you think?
I just don't
know.
They're
different type of players, but in terms of the scoring.
No, I hear what you're saying. In terms of scoring, he could definitely be that good because this is on another level to Lampard.
Yeah, exactly. It's real goals, isn't it?
And
it's crazy.
He's scoring the same, or he's got the same amount of goal involvements, if not, I think, a couple more than what Haaland's got. Obviously, I don't think Haaland has as many assists. I think that's probably what drums it up for Palmer, but Lampard was a different type of player. Palmer's not even a striker and he's putting up these numbers. He's an absolute ridiculously good player.
I think he's the best player in the league at the moment.
I think he might be the best player in Europe at the moment. I honestly, who's doing what he's doing? 4 goals.
The only argument, I have this argument all the time with a few of the lads.
Man's the only person that's close in terms of form. He's Yamal. He's the
Yeah,
only.
Yeah, and I
person
think Palmer's
I
outplaying
probably
Yamal.
would still take Vinny over him because I think doing at that level at Real Madrid is a different.
If you put, I think if you put Palmer's so unbothered by any game of football that he ever
Oh
played.
yeah, he's unfazed. I
So
agree.
unfazed, right? I don't know if you guys. Palmer's got that trait. It's a little bit off here, but I don't know if you've ever seen a documentary called Free Solo. The guy like climbed up Yosemite with no ropes, nothing, and they did tests on him, and he's like so unfazed by anything.
That's why he's cold, mate. That's why
what I'm saying. Palmer's got the same sort of thing. He's just so unfazed. I genuinely think the pressure don't get to him at Real Madrid. He would go out and do the same thing at Real Madrid as he would do at Chelsea.
Yeah,
and
when you look at Vinny, Vinny's got like 3 Champions League final goals.
I think Cole Palmer is that type of player, though, Henry. He got a European final goal for England in the summer.
Yeah.
Like Cole Palmer's that level. I genuinely think if Palmer was at Madrid, you wouldn't see any difference.
Is there any player you'd swap for him right now? Like if I say to you,
there's not a player in the world, mate. There isn't, because I don't think there's a player in the world that can win that game of football. If Palmer hadn't been on that pitch yesterday, I'm not sure what the scoreline is. Because Jackson didn't take his chances. Madueke didn't take his chances. Obviously, we would if we hadn't got 4 goals. If we hadn't got 4 goals at half time, maybe we would have kept going. And Brighton didn't really do much about that. I can't believe that Hurtzler and his tactics, by the way. He absolutely played into
even like
Chelsea's
Sancho's playing really well. Like so everyone said Sancho was a problem at Man United.
Yeah.
What's he got?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you, but your panel a question before we move from this, right? You've got an option of signing one player for your club, right? You can sign Palmer or Phil Foden.
Right now, Palmer.
Yeah,
I think I'm agreeing.
Foden last season though was
Palmer was brilliant. It's been brilliant. But Foden last season was sensational in the league, as was Palmer. But I'm going to say this: I've been listening to the conversations, and I'm a big Palmer fan.
Yo, Judges is Arsenal through and through to the death of him. You know?
No,
He is Arsenal through and through. I respect it so highly. You know,
let's be really honest. Like, you know, would Brentford do that? Would Brighton do that and play like that, like they did against Arsenal, Man City? No, they didn't. There's a little bit like I played a high line. It played into his hands a little bit. Let's see what happens when they double up and treble up on him, like they do Foden, like they do Saka. I think at the moment he's getting a little bit of a free run at that because he's playing with Chelsea, and Chelsea are not given the respect, which I think, by the way, is coming for Chelsea, because I think now Chelsea, are right in the title race. I think you can't dismiss them now. I think they've got a good enough squad. They're getting results, but I didn't see Palmer pulling up trees against Man City beginning of the season.
Yeah, but he did last year, though, Lee.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. But Chelsea were, I'm not being horrible, a team that was, we got Chelsea today. We don't have to give them that little bit of respect, which I think you're going to have to do now, Dan. I'll be
I
serious.
hear you on that, by the way. And you mean like a team will sit back against us and man Mark Palmer?
Yeah, just at this minute in time, I don't mean, I'm not trying to have a go at Chelsea, and when I'm saying this is like, you can get out. We're playing Chelsea, we can get out and get a result against them. Like that, I don't think that's changing now. I'm looking at Chelsea and I'm thinking, hold on a minute, they're a real deal here. They've got to be taken seriously. I don't think Tottenham will go to Chelsea with that midfield now that they did at Man United. That's what I'm saying.
Tottenham definitely wouldn't do that. 100%.
No, I think
they might have learned their lesson, by the way, from last year.
We'll go to Chelsea and go, do you know what? We've got
but that's why I was shocked. That game, by the way, that Brighton game reminded me so much of the first Spurs game last year against where we played you when Ange first came and then you got all the red cards and that. The way Brighton set up was so
a little
similar.
bit of disrespect, Dan, if I'll be honest, from Brighton. Yes, Brighton. I thought that
naivety from a really young manager, probably.
They thought that they could get at Chelsea and do things like that.
You know what they did? It's not like they didn't, by the way. They actually did.
No, they created a lot of chance. I'll give you that.
Under pressure.
Your goalkeeper helped them, though.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an open game, but I think when one of the big teams come there, I don't know when you've got one of the
7th of December.
Yeah, no, even sooner. We've got Liverpool.
That's the one.
All right, so
Two
you've got
games away.
Spurs.
We've got Liverpool 2 games away.
You know,
at Anfield.
and I'm not saying that Palmer won't be the game changer in that. I'm not saying he will, but I don't think he'll get the freedom of the park like he had on that game there. Like, you know, the only team that I've seen give that sort of freedom to Saka has been Tottenham, and look what happened. Like that was the season before last. I don't see that with Saka. When Saka, like even on Saturday, Saka has 3 players around him. Martinelli doesn't, you know. And I think that it's going to get to that with Palmer, and let's see how he deals with it. Like, you know, but at this moment in time, listen, I think that England, now on starter at the moment, should be starting England games now.
It should be starting in the 10.
Yeah. He's one of those players. I think, you know, as you said earlier on, just let him play wherever he wants.
Yeah, just get him on the. Make sure he's in your starting lineup.
Get him on
just
the
get him
ball,
on the
right?
pitch.
England's front 4 could be Palmer, Saka, Kane, and Foden. That as I know on paper, football's not played on paper.
Too many left feet in there, Henry.
That is, I don't think there's a front 4 in world football that's better than that.
I'd put Palmer out on the right and leave Saka out. I would.
No, really?
You trying to save him for Arsenal, Judges? I see you, man. We worked together 3 weeks. I get it now. I see the game plan. I see the game plan, you know. Judges is Arsenal through and through, you know, to the death of him. I'd
actually put Bellingham in Declan Rice's role. I think that'd be a great team. You know?
Man, that's class. Remember when the Ben White thing come out? Judges is like, "Good boy, Ben. Good boy, Ben."
That's done him favours now, isn't he? Because he ain't playing for you.
He ain't playing for England, so he's going to be
back. He's back. Benny White or Benny Blanco is back. You know,
what's this? I know we're probably going to move on to Arsenal next. What's this stuff about Calafiori's done his MCL?
No, he's all right.
I think he's all right. They're saying he's injured though. We hurt his leg. He came on with some strapping on it when he left.
Nothing to worry about. No, don't you worry yourself about that, Henry, please. Don't need to worry about that.
You're just looking for information.
Romano said this morning that Ousmane Dembele will not be in the squad for the PSG game due to a falling out with Luis Enrique. Now, the only player that PSG have got is that Barcola, who has got 6 goals in 6 games, who looks a real talent.
Yeah,
I looked at the highlights of League One over the weekend. I don't think PSG are better than Monaco at the moment. I don't think they're better than Marseille at the moment. They've got some good players like that. Vitinha is class. Fabian Ruiz is class. But there's no X factor in there anymore now. Is that a good thing because they're not reliant on one ego player, or is that like Arsenal must be seeing you boys must be confident.
They've let their best midfielder go to Man United.
Yeah, for nicely. Yeah, Judges.
You're shameless today, Lee, man. I don't know what you've been drinking.
Hey, what have you brought me into AirPods?
Oh, yeah, they've got Juan Evans as well, but I don't.
Emery as well.
Yeah, and they've got Emery. Emery's a
Emery, Neves. They've got some players. They can.
They've got Skriniar and Donnarumma as well. They still got a good squad.
I don't rate that Donnarumma.
No,
I've got some good players, right? But I am confident. And I'll tell you why I'm confident, because at the moment, I do feel like we are a couple of weeks away from getting our squad back. We're going to have Ødegaard out till probably November. Marino somehow has made a miraculous recovery. He could be available from next week. We've got Tomiyasu back. Zinchenko likewise. White and Timber are looking good. Calafiori, I expect if he has got a knock, he might miss this Tuesday game, but hopefully he'll be back for the weekend. So I feel like with our squad, we've got. I know the Leicester game. I mean, let's be real. It was embarrassing to get ourselves into that scenario, but we absolutely smashed them. Like, it was embarrassing how much we were all over them. Just finishing again at times at Arsenal. Goalkeeper had a worldie. I don't know who that goalkeeper is, by the way, for Leicester, but my God, he had an absolute worldie of a game.
Decent, isn't he? He's really good.
Really good. Strike from James Justin was absolutely phenomenal.
Weldie, mate.
Yeah.
Weldie.
Clean. That second goal was so clean.
It was Pavard levels, wasn't it?
And that's why I don't really have any kind of thing. Because when you get a worldie against you, you can't do anything about that, can you? It's a cross and a strike. I mean, what were we supposed to do? Maybe get the cross quicker, but it was like miles out. Do you know what I mean? So it was a hell of a goal, that one. But we got the result in the end. Trossard and Havertz at the end there with I can't believe they called that offside, by the way, when the Leicester bloke smashed it into Havertz. But there we go. So yeah, listen, it was a comfortable win on paper, but certainly weren't that when you were there in the stadium. Trust me. But I fancy us on Tuesday, judges. I do. I think we'll be all right. And PSG are a good side. Don't get me wrong. We might need to look at some of our defending at home. We mentioned that last night, but I do think we'll be all right tomorrow. I really do.
Yeah, Champions League, boys. Champions League. What can you say? Some are in it and some are not.
Honestly, Lee, wait till you win it. It's an unbelievable feeling.
Oh well, that's a long way away. That is, you know what I mean? Because as you well know, you don't have to be the best team to win that.
That's what I mean. You don't have to. That's why I think you'll be all right.
I think you need a little bit of luck in that competition.
Champions League charge, yeah? Is that what we're saying?
See what happens. I'll be honest. With this new format, I'm not really into it at the moment. If I don't know about you guys in the Europa League, even the same with it.
I think it's brilliant. That's only because we're near the top.
Yeah, I don't know. Like football at this point. I suppose it'll be. It may change my mind, as we go on in it. But listen, I think the good thing about football at the moment, I don't know all you guys feel about. I love it when you got week games as well. The week goes quick. Before you know it,
you got to speak to the missus because you've got football on every single night.
It's great, you know what I mean. So every night there's football, and looking forward to the game, Champions League, and listen, PSG are still a difficult opponent, Dan, but they're not like they were 2-3 years ago. It's PSG light now, and let's make sure we smash them.
Yeah, I hope we do smash them, mate. And I think that we've got an opportunity to. Last question before we come to a close. Let's come to you, Henry, first. What do you make of Arsenal this season? Do you think that we've got what it takes to get across the line finally? Are we going to win a trophy if it's not the Premier League? Where are you at as a Spurs fan, bro?
How would he know about trophies? You can't ask him that question.
I'm on loan to Real Madrid, so I've got 15 Champions Leagues. But yeah, I think you are due.
Oh, look, Ronnie's back.
Ronnie's back.
Tottenham are winning. Ronnie's back.
I think you're. I think you're due to beat a couple. I think you need to give a couple of teams a couple of hidings, like Chelsea have, like 6-2 sort of games, because everyone's questioning your attack.
Yeah, I'm with you, Henry.
Is it good enough? Your defense is what wins you the title at the end of the day. Your defense is absolutely fantastic, but with this Rodri out, I said it when I did a match reaction to the Newcastle game. I think if Guardiola wins the league this season, and if there is anyone that can manage around that injury, it is Guardiola. But if he does do it, I think this is the best league title defense he's had in his career, because he's opened the door up massively, not just for Arsenal, but for Liverpool. If Liverpool probably is a bit more doubt there that they can go to the very end. If they have a good January window, maybe they bring in Zubimendi, someone else, who knows? But, you've won. Let's be real. If you had 11 men on the pitch against Brighton, you come away with 3 points. If you have 11 men on the pitch against Man City, at that point in that game, I think you come away with 3 points. Would people be still giving you this much shit if you're top of the league sitting on 18 points? Probably not. I think you've been good, but like I said at the beginning, you need to come away with a cut. When you had that run, I think you went somewhere. Was it Saudi Arabia?
Dubai, yeah.
You come back and you smashed West Ham to bits. I think you scored something like 27 goals in 6 games or something stupid like that. You need to have a bit of a run like that. And I look at the fixtures. I thought you would have beaten Leicester 3 or 4-0. You got Southampton coming up next. I mean, I think they've only scored 2 goals in the league. I think you'll batter them. But I think once you get your squad back, who knows what Marino's going to be like. I watched him at Sociedad. He's a good player. Once you get Odegaard back, I think you'll have a lot more hidings of teams. But I think you've got what it takes. I don't think the fans have realised how big this Rodri injury is, because I watched Rico Lewis there. And don't get me wrong, he is a hell of a talent. A fullback that can just tuck into midfield, modern day inverted fullback. But I don't know does Kovacic go there next to him? Do you invert Stones in there that did in the Champions League final? I think that's a huge. It'd be like the equivalent of you losing to Saliba.
I think he might do the latter. I think he might. He's either going to go Kovacic and Gundogan, or like Bernardo, like before, or he'll put Stones in there. And I think he might do that. To be fair, because
it's not the right change. There isn't a single player out there in world football that can replace Rodri. I think he's the best in his position in the world. And it'd be like if Chelsea lost Palmer right now, if we lost Van der Ven or you lost Saliba or Saka, it's an absolute game changer. And I think the other problem that people haven't really realised is Haaland's the only one scoring goals. I've been saying this for 3 weeks now. All right. Vardy scored at the weekend. Okay. Did Haaland turn up? Did he get clear-cut chances? So are we now saying, it sounds crazy to say it because it's Man City, but are we now saying if you stop Haaland, you stop Man City? De Bruyne is out injured. Foden's not firing all cylinders. It sounds crazy, but you look at Chelsea, for instance, and you look at Liverpool, multiple people are scoring goals.
Yeah.
Even Spurs. You
mentioned it already, Henry.
If
there's someone to figure it out, it's Pep.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If there is one manager out there that can do it, it is Guardiola. But it's not
keep giving the Arsenal lot hope, man. I see what you're doing, Henry, man. I'm with you. I'm with you.
I don't think you can sleep on Liverpool either because I know they've got a hell of a run coming up with their fixtures. They've got Leverkusen, they've got Leipzig, they've got Chelsea, they've got Arsenal. So we will see what they're made of in the next 8 or 10 games. But right now, they're top of the league. They've got the best defensive record in the league. They're winning in Europe. All right, they slipped up against Nottingham Forest, but these sort of results happen. But I think this is opening the door up. If City go in January and bring in a Zubimendi or a Kimmich, then it kind of shuts all that hope down because I think that they're the sort of players that can come in and play that role. But right now, like I'm actually confident we're going to beat him in the League Cup because he's going to play all the kids against us. He's already said it. He said it the day afterwards. It's time to start trusting the academy. Now we know they've cloned David Silva, right? We know they've got Palmer and Lewis and Oscar Bob and Foden coming out, but I don't know. He looks rattled. It's like Arsenal have poked the lion in the cage.
Interesting, man. I don't know. Look, I still feel like Man City have got the squad, and I think Pep, the manager, is just going to go, oh, no Rodri, no problem, and they'll start winning the games again. But that Newcastle game, they did struggle. I don't know what your thoughts are, Dan, on Arsenal and City and Liverpool in this title race now.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Arteta and Arsenal right now because of the injuries and the situation that we're seeing at Man City. Like Henry said, the club isn't firing all cylinders. We've seen Man City look way better than this. And do you know what? If they hadn't got the other injuries that they've got and they were playing better football than they are currently, maybe the Rodri injury wouldn't be as big a deal as it seems to be right now. But this is probably the worst period of time they could have had to lose him. And I think because it's happened so early and he's out for so long, there's obviously a bit of time for him to recover it, which we may see by the end of the season. But I think there's a potential that Arsenal could start to put a bit of distance between them and City, maybe start to close that up towards Liverpool as well. I just think Arsenal have probably got it all rounded the best situation right now. You're getting your players coming back as City are falling apart. So
yeah, and games as well. So like City have got to be thinking this couldn't have happened at a fucking worst time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think that's why Pep looks like he's so rattled by this. Like it's really affecting Pep. I think Pep knows, and I think we saw in that Arsenal game, as soon as Rodri went off, they felt something there that they were a little bit more concerned than it looked obviously in that game. I think, to be honest with you, I think that's why they celebrated that draw massively, like the way they did, because I think they're genuinely concerned. They know how much he offers them, and I don't think they believe they've got another player that can do it, or two put together, if for that matter. I know there's talks about John Stones and players like that, but Stones probably looked as good as he did when he played alongside Rodri, because Rodri allowed him to... I mean, Rodri did his job for him, basically, is what I'm trying to say. He's that good. So, yeah, I think Arsenal got every chance. This is your biggest chance for me that you've had in the last couple of seasons to go on and win the league now. Yeah. And I think you just need to push on. And
you got Henry said, as well.
You just need to be ruthless. You have to be ruthless, like you were when you came back from being out in Dubai, like you said. You were unbelievable when you came back. Like you were ruthless. That's what we need to see from Arsenal now, and really put the pressure on City and Liverpool and say, no, we've been here for the last couple of seasons. We know what it's going to take for us to be up amongst it and do it. Yeah, I agree.
If you bring a striker in as well.
Should.
Like if in January, for whatever reason, if you I don't know, look at a Victor Osimhen who's only got a 6-month loan deal, unhappy at Napoli. Let's say hypothetically you bring someone in like that, because obviously you were very unhappy with your window. I don't think you did what was 100% required. I think he had an okay window, but nothing
That's
spectacular.
why
If you
it's
bring
so
someone
stupid,
in,
though, Henry, isn't it? It's so like Dan's been saying it all summer. Like you never know what's going to happen. Make sure you've got the tools, like so you're ready to go, whatever happens. And that's why, Dan, you were livid with that window after deadline
Yeah, I
day
was.
shut. And like, imagine if you'd bought in your striker now, and like Henry's saying, the situation opens up to this, and you're sat there with an Osimhen, or you're sat there with a Gyökeres, or you're sat there. You'd be laughing right now. You'd be odds-on favourites. You probably wouldn't have let some points slip that you had. Just never know,
I
do you?
agree.
It seems
I agree,
so
man.
wasteful from
think we
Edo
were-
and the group to do that.
Yeah, it was. I think we are definitely a couple of players short still, but that's why I still think Man City are favourites. But Rodri, hopefully, they miss him like they did last year, flawless, and we got a chance. But I know that you're still looking at Man City. What about Arsenal and Liverpool? Do you think they had got a chance of winning it, bro?
City is they're still. I think because City have been dominant so long, and we're all haters, just as like football fans. Like we're just tired of seeing the same team win over and over. So I think people over exaggerate and always look for chinks in City. I feel like we have the same conversation about City for the past 2 seasons. I remember when Haaland got there, and it was the whole conversation about Haaland's made them worse. I remember last season, then remember that? Like that was a genuine conversation. Was Haaland's made them worse, and it's kind of now the remixes. Even though Haaland is the only, and then they won a treble this season. Yeah, it's crazy, but he made them worse. And now we're hearing about Haaland's what's it called? Haaland's only one scoring, which is the fact. But we're acting like they don't have quality. Is Rodri a miss? Absolutely, Rodri's a miss. But one, they can go in January and sign someone, and two, they have players capable. People act like they don't have backups who are capable to go, not to Rodri's level, but Stones is not a bad option in there. Kovacic isn't a bad option in there. And I watched the Newcastle game. City were probably the better team in the first half. Newcastle were the much better team in the second half and gave them a game. But Newcastle do have quality, but City
and
unfortunately
as well.
Yeah,
like
no, he said City will be all right. Pep will figure it out because we've seen him do these type of things before. Don't know what's going on with Foden and why he's not playing, but we're acting like we've not seen this before, where we're like, what is Pep doing? And then he'll figure it out. And plus, I don't think Arsenal and Liverpool did enough to Dan's point to capitalize. If Arsenal would have went and done what they were supposed to do in the window, they'd be there to capitalize. If Liverpool were, I say this, Arsenal should have won the last 2 league titles. City you were primed to do what needed to be done, and you look being on top of the league for 93% of the time. Like, what more needs to happen where it's like, all right, City just have it. So yeah, with it, will Liverpool and Arsenal run them down? Yes, I don't think City run clear, but I think their overall quality will show. They're still the best team with the best manager. That's how I look at it.
No, look, I can't disagree with anything you've said, man. It's a shame. I wish I would. I actually agree with you. I think that Manchester City are not the reason Arsenal didn't win the league in the last 2. I think Arsenal are the reason that Arsenal didn't win the league in the last 2. That's just facts for me. You can't lose to Villa, West Ham, and Fulham at home and then expect to win the title, in my opinion. So that's just the way it is. And the season before that, we went through that absolutely horrendous run against Liverpool, West Ham, and Southampton. You can't do that. You can't do that. So we've got to learn from it. Listen, boys, it's been a pleasure. Absolute legends for coming on. Really appreciate it. Thank you all so much, guys, for your super chats and, of course, your interaction in the chat as well. Make sure you do me a favor, people. Make sure you're smashing the like button and you're subscribed to the channel. The next target is 40K. Please make sure you get us there. We got Football's 12th Man, Henry Talks Football, BDB Dan, and of course, Flawless at Sarcasm City TV as well for you all to subscribe. All of our Twitter handles and socials are there, so please make sure you show some love. We will be back very, very soon. I've got a show this afternoon as well on 12th Man, so please make sure that you come over and join us there. And Lee, I'll let you have the last word, mate, to see us out, bruv.
Yeah, listen, guys, it's a big week of football for the teams in the Champions League, so enjoy.